Hey everybody, thanks for being patient. Welcome to Pencil for Life. I am the one, the only Brad. How is everybody doing today in chat? Looks like we do have a few people waiting for us. Sorry, we are a little bit late today. There was some hiccups behind the scenes, and so we had to address those first, and then we can go on. Also, Troy is not with us right now. We don't know what happened. Hopefully, he will be joining us at a later time during the cast, but not 100% sure right now. First, let's introduce Chester, my co-host. How you doing today, Chester?
I am doing excellent, man. Very, very happy. A beautiful day. Got a cup of coffee, and I'm sitting here with some friends. So it's awesome, dude.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining us from Japan again. I know big time difference for you. So
Yes, it is.
it's morning time, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it is early morning. Yeah.
Good. All right. Well, let's introduce our main guest today before we start previews, going through the previews, which is Peter Simeti with Alterna Comics. How you doing, Peter?
Hey, Brad. How's it going?
Good, man. Good. Yeah. So, you were a little bit late today.
Yes. I apologize. Definitely do. I'm sorry, everybody.
Worries.
It's my fault.
No. Well, your fault, but it was also kind of interesting. Did you want to talk about it real quick on what you received? Because it is interesting to me, the email. So
Yeah. I'll touch upon it a little bit.
Sure.
And I'll stick to, like I said, I'll stick to the facts of the situation.
The facts, yeah, totally.
So for those that don't know, Diamond has had a sales benchmark in place on books for as long as I can remember. We've been with Diamond for about 10 years. And so you have to hit a certain level of sales. Otherwise, they would cancel the title or evaluate and maybe not pick on the next issue. And that would then just determine the fate of the series.
Correct.
So for years, as far as I'm aware of, for years and years, they didn't really enact any of that stuff. It was just kind of there. And I think maybe if they wanted to use it, they could. And so today, for the first time in our entire history with Diamond, I got an email on a weekend, and it had to do with the fact that, and many other publishers I found out got this too, so it's not just an Alterna thing. It had to do with the fact that Diamond was going to start evaluating sales performance and things like that of titles, and they would basically be taking a look as to whether or not they would be accepting solicits. They would be pushing through purchase orders if a title didn't hit a certain amount of sales. And as far as I know, it's within their right, but at the same time, it's a very, very crowded market right now. And there's a lot of factors as to why certain sales are not higher. The biggest one being the fact that, not for nothing, hey, Diamond, instead of sending an email on a Sunday to your publishers and basically doing that, it'd be great if you establish some kind of communication with some other stores, so we can actually sell to a lot of places, and then funneling those things through to comic shops like the way it kind of used to be. So that could be very, very bad for a lot of smaller publishers. Alterna's we got a lot of systems in place that we really won't be that affected by it. I hate the fact, though, and I'm trying to push it for us to have direct sales to stores to circumvent this kind of thing, because this is the way it's going to start becoming. This is just I think going to be a real slap in the face for a lot of smaller publishers that maybe they didn't think that this would ever happen, but the fact is it's getting difficult, and I think Diamond's feeling that. Yeah. And Diamond's feeling that. So that's what's going to happen.
I run an LCS, so I don't know if you knew that or not, but so my communication with Diamond is mostly through emails, and I get a lot of bloated emails, like, oh, check this out here, blah, 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 and like, there's so many to go through. One, I don't have time to look through them all. And two, like, you want me to check out books, send me samples. Some companies do, like Image will send me PDFs or whatever I can review and look at, things like that. But to help sales with Diamonds, but for smaller press stuff, it's like nothing. There's like really nothing in an email. Something, to communicate what's coming out. What we should try to sell, what's good that's out there. So I don't see a lot of that going on.
I think if anything too, I think we're kind of a nuisance to Diamond. I think indie is a nuisance to them. I think they'd much rather just concentrate on the top 5 publishers if they had a choice. I think that's kind of where they make their money. Looking at it very coldly, that's how it is. And if there was a system in place that could have two distribution arms, so that Diamond is essentially an upper echelon kind of thing, and everyone else can benefit from treatment of being, treated as if they weren't just sitting at the kiddie table of the entire industry. I think you could see people start to grow, because within Diamond it becomes an issue of, you don't want, like an Alterna, for instance, you don't want Alterna to start swallowing up more market share at the expense of another publisher and this and that, especially if indie starts to rise up and begin to overtake and eat at the bigger companies' market share. It becomes an issue. And I'm sure that's probably a conversation they've had with the bigger publishers, and especially what's in light of retailers coming out just completely, it took me by surprise as to how many retailers, and the size of the retailers too, that have been having a hard time. That's not good. So this is definitely, to me, it looks like it's a reaction to what's going on right now. I'm not quite sure it's the best reaction, because there's so many ways instead to try to, that to me, that's a last resort kind of way of going about it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways. First, let's try to build up and see and promote and work together. And then if it's not working, it's not working. But this seems like we've had a bad system this whole time. You've been suffering for it. And now it's time to just kind of kick you guys to the curb. And that's not going to be good for the overall industry. It's not going to be good for retailers who are offering, trying to offer variety in their store, and then they go and they go, if let's say if it was a situation that Diamond did a hard line stance on their sales benchmarks, we outsell a bunch of different publishers that are, I think people might be very shocked that we can outsell a Vault, we can outsell titles on Image, we can outsell titles on Dark Horse, IDW, Boom, etc. And they also have titles that outsell us. But does that mean that those titles too don't make it in? Because if it's going to be a hardline stance, it has to be a hardline stance.
Yeah.
So you're looking at, just slashing the amount of offerings that are there. So it goes from, the industry already had a bad couple of 2 years, and now we look at that. If that's going to happen, I don't know if 2019 is going to be a good year then.
So I see that as well, and I'm also concerned because I'm a creator. I'm doing my own book, just as Chester's working on his own, and
that's right.
I wanted to hear from Diamond on what I can do to get into there, so local stores can do it. But as I kind of figured out from this last year, working the shops, the market's going, I know instead I'm gonna have to hustle. Like, I'm gonna have to go store to store, try to sell them, go to the cons, try to sell them. So after that, my Indiegogo is done, which starts in mid-February for Handyman. When printing's done and I take it out there, I'm just going to be, that summer, I'm going to be going to as many cons as possible, as many shops, as many states I can get to, and try to hustle and sell the books, because I don't think I'll be able to get in Diamond at all, to be honest.
Well, if you might allow me to take a much harsher look than you guys are doing on it. Here's the situation. We have lost literally thousands of LCSs over so many years, and it will get to a point where it will cascade, because there won't be any profit in it for Diamond when we get to a certain number of LCSs, because we keep losing them. We just lost Mile High the other day, right? I mean, ridiculous, but we lost it, right? And this is continuing and continuing, and the reason it's continuing is because they can't make money, and this comes down directly to the big two, you can even say the big five if you'd like, but the reality is Marvel is putting out how many titles right now? It's like 90.
I want to say almost 90. I think it's like 89 this month or something like that. No, it's more. It's more because their stupid arcs are coming out.
I thought it was. Yeah, I thought Marvel too sometimes was putting out to 200 in a month. I've seen months where they put out like 200.
Yeah, so it's inconsistent. They're just throwing stuff at the wall, hoping it hits. And what we're seeing is a lot of their titles are selling really badly. I mean, it's outrageous how low these Marvel and DC comics are selling. It's insane. And you have to ask yourself, well, why? Why is this going on? Well, we take a look at the books that are selling well. It's very clear. They're classic, well-drawn, good stories. And we're getting a lot of absolute, crap coming out of Marvel in particular. Now, I think DC was smart to move a lot of their more controversial stuff over to Vertigo. That was a smart move. But this is causing a huge problem. This type of thinking, and for Diamond, if they want to be successful, which I know they do, they need to open up and start looking at these indies. Actually, they need to do the reverse of what Peter is telling us here, and we've actually heard a little bit of that from Troy the last time he was on. Because the reality is the indie stuff is starting to become popular because it is old-fashioned, comic book stories. It's what we love, right? All kind of different things, new ideas is what we've been asking for years. They keep saying, "Oh, you're just this or that. You're racist or sexist because you don't like this character." No, we want something new. Quit taking the old stuff and twisting it to your politic and give us something new. This is what we've been saying. And they don't listen, and they just keep doubling down over and over and over, and this is killing them. It's killing them, and they don't want to listen. And for Diamond, what I would say to Diamond is very simple. Your interest in what's going on in this indie revival is a good thing. Go for it, dive into it, and do everything you can to promote it, because that is a potential future for you. And here at Alterna Comics is a brand that does that as well. And I think one of the things that Peter does, which is much appreciated within the community, whether you know it or not, Peter, is the fact that Peter is doing everything he can to open up back into the old places where comics used to be. Yeah. Like in bookstores, like in convenience stores, et cetera, pharmacies, the old spin racks. That is what we need. We need that kind of thinking. We need to go back and open up the marketing to a broader sense than just Diamond. Now, I know a lot of people who would love to see Diamond just die. I'm not one of those. I want Diamond to survive. Now, one of the things that would help them, of course, would be competition. But they need to open up into these indies. And by what I heard last time talking to Troy, they were interested in doing that. That is why I'm so confused by this letter that Peter had got.
Yeah, that's
I think that's kind of it's almost par for the course at this point with Diamond and the comic industry at whole. One hand does not wash the other. I think it's that level of talking out both sides of your mouth, and just the optics on let's support indie. That looks great. Goodwill towards small press and creators, all that kind of stuff. And then behind closed doors and in private, it turns into, well, you guys just don't hit the numbers. Because of course we don't hit the numbers, because we're in that little part of the catalog. Yeah, we're small. We're in the little part of the catalog no one cares about. You guys have taken systems that, I've been hearing about ship to store features within the preview site now for 2 or 3 years. 2 or 3 years I've been hearing they're going to start doing stuff like that. That there's an
aggregate. I was hearing about it too, but
or I've also been hearing things too where they don't encourage promotion of titles that are not within the ordering month. So don't start talking about and showing preview pages and cover images for books that are like a couple months down the road. I've received all kinds of emails like that. It's stuff that just, it doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense at all. There's stuff that just, I don't know what's going on with this industry at this point. I know what we're thriving in. Our direct sales are destroying. I can't even keep up with half of it.
Dude, and you've been opening the direct sales to retailers as well. And I've been showing that to the owners of the shop I work for. And so we're just waiting on the fence to do the order right now, or they're waiting for a little bit. But dude, you give us better margins. You ship directly to us. I think the offer that you offer was fair. In fact, I think it was more than fair. I think it was pretty generous what you guys are doing. As a shop owner, I'm like, great, cost me less. I get a better return on my book, on the sales. And honestly, your books are easy to sell. I usually sell out on the shelf every time I order. So,
thank you. That's great to hear.
Yeah,
well, there's definitely a lot of love in the community for you, Peter. We appreciate what you're doing, dude.
It's just, and I apologize. I'm usually way more lighthearted. Today was a oh man, today was a very difficult day.
Yeah, breaking news. Yeah, I mean, it's cool. So yeah, dude, no worries, man. No worries. But let's talk about. I heard you were also going to be doing like a possible buyback situation for comics and stuff, and what's going on with that?
I announced that yesterday. I was going to just hold off till we were completely done with it and announce it in February.
Sorry.
But with everything, no, you didn't break it or anything. I talked about it yesterday. I just kind of mentioned it on the Alterna Comics live show last night. And basically what it is, it's a retailer buyback or trade-in program. Once comics have been out for a set amount of time, nothing crazy. I think we're going to do maybe like 2 or 3 issues out in a series. If, like, let's say you purchased 10 of a number 1, and now you're stuck with 5 or 6, and you'd like to only have maybe 2 or 3, or you want to just get rid of them all. I don't know. I think if it's a number 1, especially, you want to kind of keep what you've got. But if you want to have us buy them back, that's fine, and we'll buy them back from you at $1 an issue. So basically, you get a little bit of a profit on our buyback, and again, as long as these issues are sellable still, I don't want to get back like a torn, ripped off cover, and it's like, here you go, pay us.
Damage cut. Oh god, I don't like.
Yeah, that was always weird, huh?
Diamond. Yeah, I hate that.
So this isn't like a we're gonna buy your damages kind of program. It's because I'm printing. We're constantly going out of print, so I'm always going back to print over and over again. It's expensive. It's time consuming. It's just there's no reason for it. But also, sometimes I go, well, I only need maybe 100 or 200. I don't want to go back to print for 500 or 1,000. So I'll actually be talking to retailers. Do you have any stock of this book? Have any stock of that book? And I'm doing that every month. I'm talking to like 10 to 20 every single month. And I figured, you know what, maybe we could just put something on there on the site saying that these are the books we're buying back. Contact us if you have books that you want to either trade or have us pay you, and let's work something out. And this way, they don't have to sit on product that's not selling, and they can also take a chance maybe, because I'm seeing a lot of retailers that they'll order 5 or 10, and then they'll sell out. And then we all know it's difficult with Diamond with reorders. So they won't be able to build on that audience because that book just won't be there. So this will give them a chance to build on an audience if they realize, well, we sold out of this really fast, but I have a lot of this other book that just don't seem to move. Maybe we can trade, and I can get in copies of this one to keep moving, and I can trade out the ones that aren't. So it's just a system that helps everybody out, because it helps us because I can use the books to sell, and then it helps the retailer because they'll not have product that you're just sitting on, and they'll have stuff instead that they can also sell too.
I'm just came to my mind all of a sudden. What do you think about? What would you think about independent creators like using you as a distribution host type thing? That's like, say my book. If my book goes, I print 2,000 copies. I keep 500 after I sell what's left. I got like 1,000 copies left. If I sell them to you at a discounted rate, or you sell them, distribute them through your channel or whatever, and then you become like the so-called, small press distributor. For the book to local stores.
That's where, man, you're making me spoil all my business.
Sorry, man. It just
that's where we're headed for 2020, 2021.
Bad Brad. No, man. I want that to happen. Because honestly,
so do I, dude. Yeah.
Even though I have to deal with Diamond, they are trying I think they're trying to do their best. I'm going to put their best foot forward, because I don't want to rag on them all the time, because there's good people who work there, and but I want to see a competitor, especially for small press stuff. So
in all honesty, I think it would be a healthier industry because of it. I think I think it'd be healthier for Diamond too, because they could focus on what they want to focus on, and they could kind of brand themselves as this, you know, upper tier exclusive comics distributor, as opposed to just like we distribute anything and everything, and it turns into a big mess.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a question for you, Peter. Now, Brad and I are certainly fall on the side of Team Comics idea, as you do. Yeah. We think that way, and now we asked the question of Troy when he was on, asking him how do politics play a part in Diamond, in their choosing of who they distribute. And Troy was very clear that anybody's welcome, everybody's welcome. We're really interested in indies. No, there is no politics involved. That's what he said to us. Okay. And thinking on the line of Team Comics, as we agree with you, dude. Yeah. Do you think that was a truthful statement or not?
I would say, from my experiences with Diamond personnel, especially, that yes, that is a truthful statement. I've never felt that they wanted us to necessarily put out a certain kind of book, or weren't welcomed. We weren't welcome to put out a certain kind of book with a certain person or anything like that. I definitely don't think that that's any part of their game plan. But at the same time, they don't necessarily control the market as much in the way of if a store wants to only stock certain kinds of books.
Yeah. I see.
So, you know, if there's an issue with a publisher or a creator or whatever, and they're not getting their books into stores, that's not, I really don't think, and as many faults as Diamond has, I don't necessarily think that that's one of them. I definitely can't fully confidently say that that is one of them. So I think that that is kind of a true statement, especially from Troy. But yeah, I've never had any experience like that where I felt that they were politically maligning me or someone else or anything like that. I felt that they're pretty equal opportunity in terms of that. Now, with this whole thing of it's becoming, because this was weird too with that email that I received, they want to start seeing interior pages before they even approve the solicit, because they want to approve whether or not they view it as a quality release. That to me becomes very, very subjective. And it's, well, who determines what's quality? And if, let's say, it is something you don't agree with politically, the person's not going to go, well, because, you know, you're anti this or pro that. They're going to go, the art's not good enough. So it's going to become a very easy way to sidestep a controversial claim. And you can lead to a lot of discrimination that occurs that way without actually being flat out discriminatory. Yeah, so it's a weird thing to do.
YouTube was trying that with their the creator panel thing or whatever, that they stopped because they got a lot of backlash over it, you know. So yeah, I think when companies try to do that, they take the committee route for stuff. It's not the best, you know, because
but that is heartening to hear, though.
Yeah,
it is. Thank you.
Yeah. We got a question actually in chat. Justin wanted to know about copywriting your own IP. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, it's easier than you'd think. Okay. Yeah, you could literally go to, I think it's just copyright.gov, and you can print out your comic or your script or your drawings for character design and all that stuff. Now, copyright's different than trademarking and all that other kind of stuff, but it's relatively easy to copyright your work. It's pretty straightforward. I think it's a fee. Last time I did, it was like $35 or $50. And then it's per issue, per graphic novel, that kind of deal. Now, you don't necessarily always have to go that route of copywriting your material. In most cases, as long as you've got paper trails of, when you got something printed, emails that are dated, the book on the inside as well is dated, and all that other kind of stuff, that'll usually be enough. They usually want to see title claim and chain of ownership on things like when you're going to get a movie deal and that kind of stuff, just to cover their own skin. But up until that point comes, it's not really too much of an issue.
Okay.
Manny is saying it's $55 right now.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
There you go. Yep.
Cool. Well, dude, man, it's been fun talking so far. Let's go with what you got coming out this year for Alterna Comics. What I know you're offering, so to the retailers, when we do your package, we get 5 #1 issues, and then we get 3 of each other issue that comes out. So, what are your new series that are going to be coming out this year that you can talk about?
We've got a bunch of different new titles coming out this year.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go over from like start to finish with the year?
Dude, yeah, why not, man? I mean, you're such an entertaining person to talk to, and I'm learning a lot, so we can change the show on the fly. No big deal. It's the
cool.
show
Okay. Right. All right. Yeah. Cool. Thank you so much.
No problem, dude. I think Chester agrees with me. Yeah. So.
Chester agrees.
Let's do it.
All right. Yeah, you guys are too much. I don't even know what it is. Why am I entertaining or whatever?
No, it's just
God bless all you people.
Because we're both creators. I think he's a writer. I'm an artist. We're both making books. You offer us a view into the small press industry that we don't normally get. You know, I run a shop, so I have my point of view on stuff. So I've kind of learned the back end, but I haven't learned the small press end, and that's what we're all trying to go into. I know Manny is in chat, Justin is in chat, Argos Creations is. A lot of the guys who are in my chat are all creators. And so your point of view to us is what we're seeking, what we're trying to understand as we, go forward in this industry and, want to become professionals, in it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Argos Creations is a partner of mine, actually.
Yep. Oh, Todd's here too. Yep. So, yeah, everybody's in here, man. Yeah.
Jeez. Awesome. Well, I really, really, really appreciate it. Thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. Jeez. Okay. So I kind of I did.
You published me. You were my first published. If anybody doesn't know this, if you can go get the Chair graphic novel, he has I
think I have one lying around actually.
Yeah. So it was digital webbing. You were on digital webbing, asking for someone to do Chair pinups, and so I did a pinup of one. Yep, there it is, right there.
Yeah, there we go.
That was my first published piece of the comic book. Yeah. So.
Yep. In the first edition, first printing of the Chair, I only got maybe like 30 or something like that of these left.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but that was my first one. So yeah, dude. So I've always followed you. So I mean, I've been vocal, all the time, but I was always around. So.
I appreciate that.
And that is quite obviously Brad's art, by the way.
The black and white, yeah.
Yes, the gray scale, dude.
Hey, dude, I started young tonal. I'm colorblind, so might as well do my strength. All right, so, Peter, let's focus on you real quick. I'll present you real quick, and then let's show what you got coming out.
All right, so we have these actually. I did this show last night, but I'll give a little touch up for everybody right now. Sure. We've got 5 new releases coming out on Wednesday, the 9th. One of them is a debut series. It's Scrimshaw Volume 2, Number 1. Mm-hmm. It pretty much picks up in a nice, easy to understand spot. You don't have to necessarily read the whole previous series, but if you do want to do that, we cap it up nice for you and put the cover images so you can easily spot them at your local shop.
That's awesome, yeah, because
this is a popular series too.
I have a hard time finding certain issues of books. So,
yep.
Yeah.
So, and it's just like a quick paragraph to get you caught up, and then it goes from there. For those of you guys that don't know, maybe you're watching and you have no idea what Alterna is, and this is your first time. The covers, you can see some glare, and then the interior, you won't see any glare, and that is because we print on newsprint. Mm-hmm. Print on newsprint, and the cover price is low, $1.50.
Yeah.
Right. So we've got
do your creators, when you do books, do they choose between newsprint or regular?
No, that's the standard. Although every single one of them is grateful that that is the standard.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Right. Well, it is to say though that your newsprint is far higher quality than that of the newsprint we knew from the past.
Yeah, we do different pre-press operations on the colors, so this way it's not necessarily that kind of spotty dot gain sort of look to it. It's much smoother. But yeah, again, so we got 5 releases out. That was Scrimshaw number 1. And then we've got Exilium number 3. Cool. This is a sci-fi kind of Star Trek-y series.
I like the cover. Most of your books, the cover art matches the artwork inside, which is great.
Yeah.
Yes.
I hate it when books don't do that.
Like 99% of the time, it's the same exact cover artist as it is the interior. So, for instance, let's see. This is a really beautiful 2-page spread.
Oh, look at that!
Yeah, that's nice.
All right, so it's wonderful art by Salo Farias. And then we've got, it came out on a Wednesday, number 4. This is a 48-pager. It's a horror sci-fi fantasy anthology. Had a lot of fun with the cover design, as if the creature is breaking through and kind of messing with the masthead and the Alterna corner box. I always loved back in the day when it was like a Hulk cover.
Oh yeah,
destroying the whole
the whole layout, the title and everything.
Yep. And so there's all kinds of stories in here. Again, horror, sci-fi, fantasy. Cool. This is $1.99 for 48 pages.
That's a good deal, actually, for 48 pages. That's insane.
And it's really, really great stuff. Everyone seems to love that title a lot. So Blood Realm number 3, I know that one is a very popular title. This is pretty much already sold out through distribution. I think they sold out like last week, and everything has been piling up with back orders for it. This is a really, really popular series. It's a Dungeons and Dragons-ish kind of series. If you really enjoy Lord of the Rings, that kind of vibe. Very dark fantasy horror kind of vibe.
Oh, okay. Well,
Brad and I are just the right kind of geek for that.
Yep.
yeah. Really, really fun stuff. And this one's $1.50.
Cool.
And more will continue. So this is 3 of 3, but this is just like the first part,
the volume,
the larger
volume. Yeah,
story.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
And then this one is Midnight Mystery number 2, which is it's kind of a fun story that mixes like Batman the Animated Series with a touch of like Hellblazer. So if you guys are into that kind of story, it's a supernatural detective horror crime vibe to it.
Okay.
And this is a lot of fun as well. Number 1 was also a big hit, and I think people are really going to love this too. So again, it's crazy, but I know no one can really believe it till they actually take the books and take them to the register. But 5 comics, 5 new comics, $7.99. So
you can't. Like Marvel. So Marvel, we got the notice this week that Marvel's just like their new series they're doing. What's it called? What's it called?
The Realms.
The Realms. Yeah, they did a price increase of $1.
Yep.
On their comics. I'm like, what the hell?
$6 a book.
What am I supposed to tell my customers, who come in? Like,
you tell them, get 5 Alterna books.
Yeah, I know, right?
Well, no, it's this kind of thinking. We were talking about this on Fanspeak just the other day, actually, and they keep doing these crossover events year after year after year after year, and they having a crossover event every few years is probably a good idea, but doing them every year is just killing things. And we won't even get into alternate covers and all the other nonsense that goes on. But here we have another crossover event, and they're going to charge $6 a book. Are you kidding me? That is like automatic failure. Yep. It's just seppuku.
Well, there were 2 crossover events go on at the same time. There's the Realms one, and then X-Man. And the X-Man one, they're introducing 6 new books. 6 new books.
Wow.
And 2 books a month for 6 months. It's like, what the heck, dude? Yeah, it's
no one's going to buy it.
That's the thing with Alterna. I wanted us to do single issues because I found the graphic novel market was getting really flooded. We did graphic novels for pretty much our first 10 years. Predominantly, we didn't really do more than 5 single issues, I think, the whole time. And I wanted us to shift, but I love newsprint, so comics and newsprint is synonymous to me. I always wanted to get them on there, but the newsprint enables us to make it the price that it's at, and that was kind of what I felt was great because of the fact that I didn't want someone to pay $4 or $5 for a comic like ours and have to go, well, it looks interesting, but I'd like to eat tonight. So I think I'd rather get dinner than try out a new comic. I don't want people to do that. I want people to go in there and go, $1.50. It looks pretty cool. I'll try it out. That's it. End of story. And when we do conventions, we'll sell hundreds of comics. When I used to sell maybe 20 graphic novels, and that would be the show, and I'd be like, I guess we made, a couple $100, and that was great. Now we make so much more money on it because we sell the issues. The people love the stories. They're miniseries, so they can get the whole arc too when there's 3 or 4 or 5 issues out. And then also it gets them more familiar, honestly, with Alterna. And they feel like, hey, I like Alterna. I want to get the hat. I want to get the T-shirt. I want to support this company that I care about. And this is kind of the thing that used to be so prevalent in comics in general. Imagine if Spider-Man wasn't everywhere. If Superman wasn't everywhere, if Batman wasn't everywhere, if it was just very, niche marketing and is in stores that were just sporadically throughout the country, I don't know if we'd have movies today on these characters. I don't know if we'd have, I don't even know if they'd still be around. So that's a big part of this.
Yeah. Now, the naysayers would say, is it sustainable?
Oh yeah,
$1.50.
It's very, very sustainable. We sell advertising too in the comics. So where is it? We got BCW's an advertiser. We've got Ultra Pro that's an advertiser. We sell advertising within the book.
Ultra Pro boxes on the back, the other book, those are way good.
Yeah. And you offer
those
advertising
long boxes.
Those
long boxes are excellent.
Very nice.
My gosh, if you want good long boxes, guys, grab those. They're so good.
But actually, also, Peter, you offer advertising for other people as well.
Anybody.
I know. Fanspeak is going to be taking a whole full-page ad out in your book, and this allows anyone access
full-page
to
ad, by the way.
Full-page ad is $100.
Dude.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So that's a full pager.
Yep.
As soon as I get paid, I'm buying an ad. So
then, that's what I'm saying, right? It's awesome, man.
We've also got, let me see, because we also sell quarter-page ads too. I want to get a book here that has a quarter-page ad in it. Quarter-page ads for anyone that even wants to just say happy birthday or something to someone. It's worth it to do it. It's $25 for a quarter-page ad.
That's it.
$25. You can just every single month take out a quarter-page ad and just be like, check out my YouTube, check out this is my dog, this is the new thing I got today. You could just do an ad and just do whatever you want to do in it, as long as it's not as long as it's not vulgar or whatever. We're proud to put the ads and try to lift up some other creators that want to support us. We want to support them too. So it's really just a nice thing. And also I like this that we've got this in the back of the books too. The comic shop directory listing all the comic shops that carry. Sadly, we're going to have to make adjustments to it because of the fact of how many have unfortunately closed their doors. But it's something that's great for those shops too, because everyone goes and looks through it and they're like, oh, I didn't know I had all these shops in my state. And not only do you have all these shops, but these are all shops that support indie comics too, which is great.
It's very true. What does I don't want to switch to no, let's keep going on with books. What else do you got coming out?
Okay, so that's what I've got on hand right now. We've got in a couple of weeks we've got Eden number 4 of 4 coming out. Eden is a great series. I think I've got a copy here to show.
If you got copies or sample art you want to print off,
this is a number. This is a number 2 issue of Eden. It's a Star Warsy action adventure, sci-fi kind of book.
Hey, why don't we tell who the creators are of the book as well? Let's give them a shout out as well.
So we got Eric Henson, Michael Babinski. There's so many on this. Stephen Oakes, Ross Hughes, and Robert Doan all do Eden. And I'll touch up on. It came out on a Wednesday. We make sure to get every single creator on the cover too. So there's a lot of people in this book. Ray Dillon does the cover. Terry Mayo, Dave Swartz, they do Wicked Righteous on here. Helgorithm is by Jeremy Ferretti. There's Sick Joe and Wes Loker. Mr. Crypt, Troy Vivacis, and Alex Hovick. Legends of Log, Ski Suharski, and Bob Berry, and short stories. There's just so many people. It's like 20 to 25 people on here. It's crazy. It's amazing. So Scrimshaw as well. It's Eric Borden, Dave Mims, and Spike Oloda. He's got a crazy name. It's Olaochdha. I think it's an Irish name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Midnight Mystery. We got Bernie Gonzalez and Wes Loker as well. Wes does a lot of lettering for us. He's a really, really easy to work with guy and solid. And in Blood Realm, we got Rob Geronimo, who does the writing and the art. And then we've got Tom Maurer, who does the lettering.
Cool.
And Exilium with Ben Slayback, Salo Farias, Mark Sintis, and we've got HDE on the lettering as well. So it's a lot of great creators at Alterna. And it's a creator-owned company. So these guys, they own 100% of the IP. If this thing goes to film or toys or whatever it is, T-shirts, if they want to make stickers, they keep it all. You know, we don't take any of that. So
that's cool.
We just want to do the comics. Yeah.
Awesome. No, I like that because like that's like when I was looking at other indie publishers and trying to go through, a lot of them want like 60-40 or 70-30 splits on everything. I'm like, no, that's a lot.
Oh, on ownership too. Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Some of them do. Yeah.
Yeah, we do an 80-20 profit split. So we recuperate like the print costs and things like that, and then the creators get 80% of the profit and we get 20%.
Oh, that's not bad. Yeah. Cool.
Let's let you know, Loker is a German word and it actually means foolish person.
Oh, interesting.
Nice.
Just so you know.
It's just random facts of literary.
Well, dude, it's what I do, right?
It is what you do. Yeah. Cool. So what's going on with Tinseltown this year? Feast and Famine, stuff like that.
Tinseltown just closed out with issue 5. I know that they're working on another continuing series of Tinseltown. It's not going to come out this year, though. Feast or Famine, that just came out. We're going to have issue 2 come out as well in January. Well, towards the end of January. And then we've got a bunch of other ones coming out too, like Unit 44 is coming out in a couple of weeks. Actual Roger coming out as well. Actual Roger is interesting because of the fact that Hank Tucker does the writing and the art, and he was the director of the Tick animated series. So that's kind of cool.
ICYMI. Oh, is it ICYMI?
Yeah, ICYMI. So it's basically in case you missed it. It's a reprint series. Anything that's all ages and young adult that's older than a year, we're going to reprint that because we're pretty much just out of print on those things, and people miss all that stuff. Because I found a lot of people that have picked up on us in the past 5 or 6 months, they completely missed out on the 2017 stuff. So this is a lot of, it's a great chance to just get a lot of these great books.
2016, all of it back then. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm just curious, how mature content would you publish?
I think the craziest book we've got in terms of intensity and graphic nature is probably The Chair, which is mine.
Wait, that was your book?
Yeah, that was my book.
Oh, okay.
So,
I didn't know that. All right.
And that's got, it's a prison death row horror, pretty heavy material. There's child abuse in there. There's a prisoner that gets raped to death. All kinds of wonderful material.
So no holds barred. All right.
Yeah. So there's, it's as long as it's not ridiculously gratuitous, like the scenes that we've got in the book aren't, gratuitous. It's more like they're hinted at, you understand what occurs, and your imagination is the thing that really does it.
Suggested. I get it.
Yeah. But there's strong language in the mature books, and we do all ages, we do teen, we do mature. So it's all under the same umbrella too. Because some people went, well, you should maybe do a different imprint for the all ages. The thing is, when I was a kid, I didn't want to read the all ages imprint. And that was it. That was the kiddie book. I didn't want to feel like I was just supposed to read the stuff for kids. I wanted to read the stuff that said Marvel in the corner or DC in the corner. So we have all the information printed in the barcodes. It'll say rated M for mature readers and things like that, and what kind of genre it is too for the book.
Okay. So
this way, if someone's kind of curious as to, well, who's this appropriate for, you can find it right there, and it's pretty easy and clear to see.
What's Unit 44, by the way? I see that one in the previews. I had your page pulled up in the previews. So
yeah, Unit 44. Our friend Wes Loker again. That's his book. He's the writer and letterer on it, and Ed Jimenez does the art. That's kind of like a Men in Black sort of vibe to it. It's these two bumbling Agent 51, not Agent 51, Area 51 agents.
Yeah.
They have a storage locker for Area 51, and they forgot to pay the rent on it, and it basically goes like a storage wars kind of show. And wow. So they lose all the contents of it. It all just gets sold off at auction, and there was some really crazy stuff in it. One of the things is basically this kind of artifact item that the aliens had given to Earth that they were supposed to take care of, and now it's just who knows. So the aliens are all of a sudden they want, oh hey, how's that thing that we gave you, and it turns into, well, we don't really have it anymore. So now it becomes this big catastrophic thing that they were supposed to take care of, this thing that was important, and now they don't even know where it is. So they have to avoid this cataclysmic event, and it's a sci-fi comedy book, and it's a lot of fun, and people really enjoyed when it was first out as a graphic novel, but it didn't really get a lot of people picking it up because graphic novels, like I said before, it's a flooded market. So that's been something that's interesting too, because we've had books like The Chair that have been around since 2008.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah. And when that went to single issues, I thought, I don't know, we'll sell a couple or whatever. So when it sold like 3,000 with the single issues, it was a whole new audience. Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
It was a whole new audience for the book. So all of a sudden people were reading it, and I didn't think that anyone really would get a kick out of it again because it had been 10 years. And it was interesting to see, because when it was released as a graphic novel, people would give me feedback that, oh, I read that and I enjoyed it, and whatever. But when they read it as single issues, I was getting people that were theorizing, well, what's happening from issue to issue? It was very interesting to see, because people would come up with all these crazy scenarios, and they would go, oh, is this going to happen? Is this what's happening? I wonder if this guy's going to survive, and that kind of stuff. Yeah. And I never had that experience before until it was released in single issues. So it was really fun to see the audience participation on that element of it, because I'd never got that with the graphic novel. They either read the whole thing and or they didn't. So if they read it, they would let me know what they thought of it.
Yeah, I find that anticipation factor at the end is very key. I mean, you got to have a little bit of it for every page. What's going to happen when you flip over the double page, type thing. So when I'm laying out my book right now, I have it laid out so there's a kind of a cliffhanger on every little page that you flip. As I'm planning my pages, what's going to happen on that next page, and then the cliffhanger at the end of the issue is key. To have them come back like, dude, I want more. So it's definitely a thing you got to have in every single issue.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I got a question here from the chat. Well, an adjusted question: are you an illustrator and/or a writer?
I was just going to ask it.
I'm not I'm not a sequential illustrator, and mostly because I don't have any patience for it. If anyone follows my art, you'll probably see a lot of like 5-minute and like 1-minute sketches, just because I want to get done and on to the next thing.
I'm sure
I've done a lot of I've done a lot of time taking pieces and things like that, but sequential art is very time consuming, and it's something that when I started Alterna, I did a lot of the writing and things like that on my own titles and some lettering too, but I just didn't have the time at all to do sequential art and also devote the time to being a publisher and all of that. So life kind of just split off like that for me, and I'm fine with it. It's okay, but I do a lot of art as well. So if anyone sees my art and my sketches and stuff like that, I do that all the time.
Well, with that answer, then I have a request for you. We do. I don't know if you've actually heard of the Drawn and Quartered that Mike Miller does, the Pro Edition, and I do the Fan Edition. We would love to have you come on the Drawn and Quartered Fan Edition with us and just come over there and draw with us. What we do is we have a 2-hour period where the artists are given a theme, a character, and they draw for 2 hours. And at the end, all the people in the chat will vote on who is their favorite. And of course, in the Fan Edition, the winner goes and then is on next week's Pro Edition. But we'd love to have you as a guest artist, man.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. I'll definitely see if I can swing that. It's time is not my friend lately, so that's always a factor.
It's every
Again, that's why I do the minute sketches.
Yeah.
There you go. But it's every Thursday at 10 p.m. So you check your schedule. Yeah, every Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think it would be really cool if people would love to see you.
Cool. Well, thank you for the invite.
Do you have any sketches right next to you right now?
No, I mean I could do a 1-minute sketch though if you guys would like to see that.
Dude, we would. Yeah.
I could do one of these like really quick ones. Let me see if I could get my stuff.
That'd be awesome. I'll come up with I'll ask you another question while you're drawing actually. I'll let you get set up here for a second. Let's check in with the chat, everybody. Let's see. Hey Todd, how you doing? Jack Irons is in the chat. Troy is in the chat. Fit Armament. I don't know.
Got a Pope Fire as well.
Pope Fire's in there. Willie Reed's out here. Manny's out there.
The Willie Mammoth.
Yep. Willie Reed's a good artist, by the way.
Yes, he is. He's a very good artist.
Yep.
Ooh, Bean from PA. Hello, Bean.
Yep. So, Uncanny Kodiak is out in the chat as well. Bill from Argos Creations.
Edwin Boyette. He says, Chester, from a Ferengi standpoint and appearance on Drawn and Quarter, probably would have a high conversion to sales. Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Edwin, I don't like you just sitting out there alone. Did you want to come in?
We got DeWolf in here too. Hello, DeWolf.
Yeah, DeWolf is in here as well.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, no, that is true. It is advertisement to be on the Drawn and Quarter. That is fair.
It's true. Where is my thing here? Oh,
I just wanted you as a guest, Peter.
How do you submit to your company? How does one creator submit to be picked up by you?
You could just go right to the website. It's alternacomics.com, and submissions are always open. So it's pretty easy.
All right, cool. What's the process like that you go through though when you take someone's submission? Like, what do you look at? Like, story fit and finish? Do you look at, do they have so many books done or ahead of time or?
Yeah, well, I'd like to see at least 5 pages, 8 preferably finished, complete.
So standard submission package, yeah.
Yep. And if a cover is done, that's great too. It's not necessary all the time.
Okay.
But just also, if creators are open to things, like I've had to change a bunch of different titles. Like we changed the Tinseltown title before. It was Abigail O'Leary, and I thought Tinseltown would just hit people harder. And I put that past David, and he's like, I love it. That sounds really good. And I said, let's just not maybe we could tweak the main character name to Abigail Moore, something along those lines. That's more, not as Abigail O'Leary, Abigail O'Brien, that kind of like stereotypical, Irish name. Something a little bit more substantial in terms of just not a stereotype sort of thing. And he's like, I really like that because it's actually, he said, and this was weird, he said it was actually his mother's maiden name was Moore. So he said that actually really works really good. So it's a little things like that of being able to just kind of work with the creators and establish a rapport with them once we're down the line. Just be open to stuff like that.
Critiques and everything.
Yeah. And if you're dead set adamant, you're like, nope, this is the way it is. It has to stay this way. That's fine too. I mean, I'm not gonna press buttons necessarily, but I always give suggestions based on what I think would be beneficial to the book.
And when do you pick books? Like, if I submit to you now, would it be for 2019? Would it be like late 2019 or 2020?
Yeah, so 2019 is completely full.
Okay.
2020 is about 25% to 30% full at this point.
Okay.
So I'm looking still for 2020, and usually at this point I'm sorting through close to 500 submissions.
Yeah,
so,
I know you get a ton, dude. So
yeah.
How many of those submissions do you look through, like, are really stand out, like, and most of them are just kind of crap? Yeah.
Okay. Well, before I get into that, that's a big question. So here's
let me highlight it. There you go.
This was just the this is the Sullivan character from The Chair. This is just a really super quick sketch.
Cool.
So I guess this will just go to the next person who basically purchases the book.
Yeah, order the chair now, guys. Someone go order it right now.
Go to orderalterna.com and yeah, you could pick this up. I think it's like $14 on there.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Sweet, dude.
Yeah, dude. The next person gets a custom sketch.
Oh,
from Peter. Nice, dude.
But yeah, so the submissions process in terms of getting in, I get roughly 100 to 200 submissions a month.
Crazy.
And it's been like that for about 2.5 years now, I'd say, something like that. And we've only got maybe 30 or 40 books that I've accepted during that whole time. So that's a lot of books that I'm pretty sure there's people out there that are very mad at me.
I don't know why, because honestly, so I've submitted my artwork before to other companies and stuff, things like that. I've had rejection letters.
Yeah,
I got rejections from Image, from Marvel, from when they used to accept, stuff back in the 90s. I was just a punk kid. I didn't know what I was doing, but I've been rejected from everybody. I mean, even lately, I've been rejected from. I got rejected from Image a while back for submitting one of my books. They didn't like it, so oh well. I think they're going to lose out in the end, but you got to deal with rejection. As an artist, as a writer, and hone your craft. That's how you learn. I mean, reject, you try to analyze what they give back to you, the feedback they give back to you, and make changes, So, I mean,
it actually strikes me slightly different, Brad. I actually think it's very cool that so many people are submitting. Well, I think that's neat.
I think it is, but a lot of it, there's a lot of people who are like, dude, I could draw just like anybody else. Well, I can just like everybody else, and it's subpar, but like I get guys who come in the shop all the time like, dude, I want to be a pro comic guy. I look at their stuff. I'm like, all right, do you want me to give you real criticism here? Or do you want me to just pat you on the back? And I'm like, yeah, you can do it. And they'll ask me because they know I do artwork, give them real criticism about it. And so I help a lot of kids out from like the local high schools and stuff like that who come in and draw at the shop. So, but there's, people need to, I don't know, I think people just need to get some skin. Don't feel hate. Your time will come eventually if you work hard enough. So,
well, yeah, all a rejection is on that level is just steering you down the right path. You don't necessarily want, and I tell people this all the time, they're always looking to submit to publishers, and they're always thinking, well, I sure hope I'm a good fit for that publisher. I know that's a natural way to think about it, but at the same time, you always want to think too, is that publisher also a good fit for me?
Yeah.
Does this publisher do books that I like and enjoy as well? Do they have a standard of quality that I appreciate? And I'm looking forward to seeing my book like that. Because there's people, I get submissions all the time where they'll have a cover letter and it's addressed to a different publisher.
Wow.
They copied and pasted.
Yeah. And it's that thing, and they're blanket submitting to whoever who's going to look at it. And your book's your baby, you know what I mean? You wouldn't just leave your baby off at someone who's like, I'll take care of it, and that's it. You want to make sure you're checking references and you're looking up like, are they going to take care of this baby of mine, or am I going to come back and that baby's going to be dead? You don't want to do that with your book. You want someone who's going to help and nurture it and make it grow and things like that, and that loves it as much as you do. But they should never love it more than you do, but they should love it as much as you do. So you want to make sure your publisher cares about it, because if there's so many publishers out there that they just don't care. And that was a big reason too that I had started Alterna, because I felt like I didn't really want to get hitched with a publisher and kind of be beholden to them essentially, and that they wouldn't allow you to grow really. There's not a lot of publishers that are going to allow you to grow. They're going to be it's this way and this way only, and that's it. You don't like it, you go somewhere else. And that's how it was at the time, especially. So I just kind of did my own thing, and I figured there's a lot of people out there that are submitting to us, and maybe we could do something together. And a lot of really talented people have been with Alterna for a very long time. So it's something that just I feel that was needed at the time, and I think it's still needed in some way. And I'm glad people really seem to love what we're putting out, because it's been exciting.
I would assume also that the selection process has something to do with how many spots do you have open for books, and also does it flow with the selections that have been made. You don't want to have 5 books that are exactly the same. You want to have a difference. So
yeah,
I'd imagine it's more dynamic than just I like it or not.
Yeah,
there's more to it.
It's a really funny story about that. It was really weird. A couple months ago, I got close to 20 submissions, and I don't know if there was a contest going on or something like that, but it was literally all samurais and wrestlers. It was like 20 submissions. It was either it was about samurais or it was about wrestlers, and that was, I couldn't believe it. For like 2 months, that's all that was really coming in. I felt like there had to be something going on. It couldn't just be like an Inception kind of thing. It had to be like there was a purpose, and people were making all these submissions, and then they were sending them around. Because otherwise, that's crazy. That's crazy that people would have that same exact kind of way of, it takes time to make a comic. So, it's not just pitching ideas.
What's the most pitched idea besides samurai and wrestlers that you've ever got? Like, is it fantasy based? Is it harem comics? Like, what is the most ever pitched to you ever?
Sexy bunny samurais.
I think the most pitched comic I've ever received, especially genre, is superhero.
Okay.
I get a lot. Everyone's wondering too, like, well, you receive so many superhero comics. Why don't you submit? Why don't you publish more of them? And it's mostly because they're all sort of just Batman, or this is a Superman character, or this is nothing that really stands out on its own, or really pushes the genre a bit, or does something unique with it. It's not like it's like superheroes set in like medieval times, or that kind of deal. It's something where it's basically just, these are kind of like, I can't work on Spider-Man right now, so I'm just going to sort of make my own version of Spider-Man. And it's that kind of thing.
Cool.
Well, I have a superhero cannibal you might like.
There you
go. That's kind of interesting.
What non-Alterna and small press comics are you reading? What are you reading from the big guys at all?
I don't read a whole heck of a lot anymore from them.
Yeah.
I definitely, every time I do a signing, I try to buy comics from the store. I try to get new stuff, and I don't want to be mean here. I don't really end up liking a lot of it. So I get a lot of the old stuff. I get a lot of the dollar bins and a bunch of different key issues and things like that. I keep up with a lot of the current stuff just because I have to. It's kind of part of the job. But in terms of really following and I'm invested in a title or whatever, I can't do it. It's between the fact that I have so much to do at Alterna, like I work 16 hours a day. I don't have time to sit there and read a Marvel book that wants to castigate me, or a DC book where I feel like, who are these characters anymore, and that kind of stuff. And then small press as well, I find it turns into this. I'm reading it, and I don't want to be mean, but I'm looking at it and I go, I wouldn't accept this in Alterna. Why is this accepted right now?
Are you talking about Jungle Fantasy, or like any of those Boundless ones?
No, it's I mean, that's a whole other, that's like a whole other thing. That's their thing, and they can choose to do that. But it's the stuff too that there's definitely quality issues and story issues, and I feel like there's a lot of writing. Like when I read a book, I really want to feel that I can give a voice to the characters. When you read a book nowadays, a lot of the time I open it up and I'm like, these guys all sound the same. They all sound like a variation of what I would imagine the author sounds like if you were to speak to them. I don't find that they're immersive. I need immersive entertainment like that, whether it's a movie or it's a comic.
Like when they used to do what's his name, Gambit, they used to give him the accent.
Yes.
The little inflections in the words and stuff. Yeah, they don't do that anymore. Yeah,
even Wolverine doesn't really sound like Wolverine anymore.
That's true.
it's just cookie cutter crap, honestly. And it's when I'm looking at it, and Alterna is not. We're not a big company. We're not a very well-known company, more or less. But when I'm looking at other stuff, and I'm like, wow, these guys have been around, way longer than us, and there's big names on this book, and it doesn't feel that way. It feels like this is great, good job, high school kid. It feels like that kind of book, and I'm not going to pay $5 for that. And I don't think any other people are really starting to do that either. I think that's why we're having a lot of problems in the comic industry.
Yeah, well, it's just like Brad and I reviewed Weapon X the other day, Weapon X #1. Now the art was horrible, but that's subjective. I understand. But every single character was out of character. They were not in canon at all. And it's like, what are you doing? Aren't you bothering to do even the slightest bit of research on what you're supposed to be writing? What's going on? And that just pissed me off.
It feels like fan fiction, a lot of it, honestly. It doesn't feel like the heart is there. It doesn't feel like the time was put in. It feels like if I'm going to pay $5 or whatever it is for a comic, I want to really make sure that this thing is great. I want to make sure I got top A-list talent on this book, and go with that. I want to make sure that there's editors on the book that understand the histories of these characters. So if they get a script back and they're like, that's not how that would be, that they do that they will send that back to the writer and make sure that it's done right, to keep the integrity of that character, of that story there. But if you're talking about indie, because that's all that kind of stuff that happens with the big two and their continuity. But if you're talking about an indie book, in terms of that, people are trying their best, and I definitely get that. And but at the same time, there's books that are. Some books are going to be loved, and some books are not going to be loved, and that's okay. There's people that I don't expect them to love every single thing that comes at Alterna, and they could flat out hate some of it. Possibly, I haven't seen that yet, but there could be people that do that, and that's their right. That's they're a reader.
But dude, Warpath was a Cheeto eating idiot. Warpath.
It's true in X-Force. Yeah. Two things real quick. One, welcome, Edwin. How you doing?
Hey, Edwin.
Aloha. Doing fantastic.
Aloha, buddy. Second is I have another question from Uncanny Kodiak. He was asking, or he wants to know, in essence, when do you need a team to submit to you, or are you looking for just a writer for a book and then you'll attach them to an artist, something like that, or
everybody's got to be there already. Yeah, we don't pair people up. I could make a suggestion and say, if the lettering is probably the easiest and the most the most common thing that I need to have revised on a book. So I can make a suggestion because a lot of the time I'll say, have you seen the lettering? Is the lettering okay to you? Have you compared that to other? And they'll like, yeah, it is what it is. I don't know anybody else. Yeah. So then I'll make a suggestion, if that's like the only thing keeping a book from getting on. But otherwise, I don't. People ask all the time, can you pair me up with like an artist?
I did to you. Yeah, I did.
And I'll say, look, it's a creator-owned book, so I don't want to pair you up with this guy who's great, but he's $100 a page, and you're like, well, I can't do $100 a page. So it's that kind of thing of, I can make some recommendations, but at the end of the day, it's easier now more than ever to find an artist that you think would be really, really great on your book. And I always tell people too, if you're really in a pinch and you want to make sure that you've got good writing or you've got a letterer in place or whatever, but you're clueless as to the artist, look at the Alterna books. Look at the Alterna single issue books. Maybe Christian Rossi's available. Maybe Dave Mims is available. Maybe one of these guys that I obviously like their art. I published the book. Maybe they're available. So if you're really, really desperate, that's always a way to go about it.
Yeah, and that's proven too because they have a track record of finishing a book. So that that, because there will be a lot of people out there who don't, or they're always late all the time, So yeah, I get that. But
I think the only thing we need to finish Edwin's visage is a patched leather jacket and a Harley.
Yeah. Sorry to keep you quiet there, Edwin. Yeah.
I am enthusiastic for Alterna in 2019, but I feel like I'm missing one thing. when I go to purchase a Marvel comic book, I can get like 15 variant covers for Super Nut Girl.
Oh my gosh.
And so is 2019 the year of variant covers for Alterna?
Well, I really always, I hate to disappoint our readers. I always want to make sure that everyone gets what they want, but I'm gonna have to make people sad with that, and that no, 2019 again, we will have no variant covers for Alterna Comics. Sorry.
Here.
Well,
I'm okay with that.
That makes me want to commit Sudoku, but I'll learn to live with it.
Sudoku?
He wanted to say seppuku, but I get
seppuku, yeah. But, yeah.
No, I said exactly what I meant to say.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
so the numbers game. I get it. Okay. Sorry.
Well, isn't that how you guys figure out the math for the variant covers from Marvel?
Mm-hmm.
Play Sudoku,
Exactly.
and you figure out that's how many I can order.
Oh man, those alternate covers, Brad should tell us, because it's awful what they do, dude. They will give you this horrible cover as the standard one. They do it on purpose.
On purpose.
And then they make you have to order how many to get the next one, and then how many to get the one after.
It depends on the publisher. DC's been really cool. They do an A and B where it's the same ratio, but Marvel it's like 10-1, 50-1, 25-1, 100-1 for some. It's
wasn't there at a time too? It was like 150% of what you ordered last month.
Dude, they do that too. Yeah.
It's like 5 plus the age of your oldest.
It's some weird
child.
math. It's like, why do I have to have an algebra question to figure out, a storybook problem?
I could do math, I wouldn't be a comic book nerd. What are you?
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, we have a question from the chat. Newsstand Direct asks, Casting asks Alterna Comics, as they continue to grow, will they ever get books coming out every month? Because sometimes 2 months is kind of annoying to wait for books. So,
well, if you're a new reader and you're waiting for 2 months, what I suggest is we have a lot of great books. You can fill that time with a lot of those great books. But if you're waiting specifically on a book that's monthly, ICYMI is going to be monthly. Everything else is still going to be bi-monthly. It's going to be every 2 months. And that's mostly just to give some space for some of these indie guys, because a lot of them, they have day jobs and everything else. So they need that time to catch up. We always try to be about like 2 issues ahead if we can help it. But sometimes, like we have a book right now where there's been a lot of craziness happening in the personal life of some of the creators on the team. And so they actually had to have a delay. They actually had to have a 3-month span between one issue to the next. And that's just, unfortunately, that's just life. And I'm not gonna force the creators to be like, who cares if you got this going on? I got a book that needs to come out. No, I want these guys to feel like no, they're okay at Alterna. We've got their back, and our readers, I think our readers would understand. So
yeah.
Well, that kind of attitude is just going to tick off Marvel a lot, dude.
Yeah, I mean, when you buy an Alterna book, you're supporting working men and women who create comics and do it as a passion. So, continue with that support, man. Help them out. So, $1.50 issue is not a lot to support, but yeah. So let's see. No other questions from chat at the moment, but you got any questions, Edwin, for Peter here?
Yeah, I was, and I'll probably kid you offline. I'd like to maybe seed Alterna here in Hawaii, and so I might want to see if I can buy like a big old package from you. I should have got some when Alterna Ween was going on. But I might want to buy just a big old stack from you, and I'll take them down to one of my one of my local comic book stores and say, hey, hand them out.
There you go.
Sounds good. Thank you. Yeah, that'd be definitely something we could do.
I couldn't do that because they don't read English where I live.
I know what I was going to meant to ask you. How is Rooster Puncher? How is Can't Kill Cade and Voidwalker coming? How are they moving along with that?
Yeah, they're coming along really good with it. I know they're making some steady progress on those books. I know Spencer's really excited. I talked to him earlier today, just because he's been really upset about the comic industry stuff too, and especially what we've been going through with Diamond this morning. And he's excited about getting the book out to people, and he's just ready to come out guns blazing with those 2 books. So I think people are going to love them. They're really great, which you know, of course.
Well, he's a real talent. He's a real talent. But I'm kind of biased towards this one because I think one of the villains is based around me. So please order that from Alterna.
That's what I said. Patch leather jacket and a Harley.
Well, now I may have missed something. What's going on with you in Diamond, Pete?
Oh, it's I think it's mostly a reaction, that Diamond's having towards what's occurring in the industry, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was something else too to add to that. I'm not going to put any speculation out there necessarily, but just kind of sticking into the whole sales benchmark. Kind of, if you don't hit enough sales, your book can get canceled or perhaps not even distributed by us at all for the next issue, and so on. And a bunch of the publishers today, it looks like to me, just the small press publishers, as far as I'm aware of, they got that email. And it's a very weird time, I think, to try to start doing that, especially when the biggest complaint has been from retailers. We have a hard time moving these Marvel and DC books because of these hundreds of reasons. And I've seen many say, I want 2019 to be the year where we start to get more indie in there and promote and talk about and selling indie. And I think that is an odd strategy to Diamond to try to kind of squash out any upstart indie publishers. But at the same time, I understand if that's what they're going to do, because it might be intimidating to some of the publishers that they wish to support, that they're getting their bread and butter from them.
Yeah. Don't want to speculate too much on motives, but the cynical side of me would say that was a move to squash vocal dissent and so forth, and that
the reaction from the store, that article.
Yeah. You better keep your mouth shut.
Well, I don't know about you, Edwin, but I'll speculate all day, man.
Well, I mean, I don't want to put out something and sound like I'm speaking from a position of knowledge, but sure, that looks like a move that is designed to silence dissent. If anybody else wants to say, "Hey, yeah, we need to change this up," but Diamond's a privately held company, so we really don't know how they're doing these days either.
Oh, I didn't know they're privately held. That's crazy.
Yeah.
They're not a public company.
Oh, I did not know that.
It'd be a healthier system to have 2 distributors. I said it before, with Diamond being this exclusive upper, you really got to be the best of the best, or whatever it is, to be distributed by Diamond, and then to have another distributor that handles essentially what's the rest of the previews catalog. You'd see then. For some people it is, which bless them. But it'd be great to see that kind of thing occur, where these publishers were given a chance as well to thrive and not be in a system where it's dominated by the big money that's going to flood the market, because big business is just they love big business, and that's the sad part, though, is that the retailers are going to have that ability to really course correct more than anyone else. If they're tired of the big company tactics, if they're tired of books that aren't moving, if all that, organize your store by genre, make it so it's very easy for a new person to walk in and go, well, I don't know what comics are out, and I'm not really a superhero fan necessarily, but I like horror, I like sci-fi, I'll check this out. If they have a section set up, it's easier to go in there then and understand, okay, I like stuff by genre, I'll look like that through stuff like that.
No, I get it. Yeah, I mean, getting new customers when they come in to start with comics is the biggest chore. Trying to do, like, where do you start? Like, I usually start them on the classics. I'll start them, depending on what character they like. I'll ask them what they like, what super heroes they are influenced by, the movies or TV shows. things like that. And then I'll pick out older trades to say, hey, look, this was when it was good. I would start here. It'll tell you basically who Peter Parker is, what he's about, things like that. So I will do that with all the different books, you know, trying to figure out what's best, because the newer stuff, trying to get people into comics, it just turns them off, you know.
It does.
Get them in.
And you would think they would be doing everything they can to save the comic book stores and get them moving forward, because just like I said earlier, we just lost Mile High Comics the other day. Mile High.
The Glendale location, yes.
Yes, but that still, right? I mean, we all know this from reading comics. When I was a kid, they always have that thing in there where you can back order books and stuff like that, right? And we're just getting these huge hits left and right. And like I said, we've literally lost thousands of comic book stores. Literally, that's not an exaggeration.
Oh, we've lost thousands of readers.
Yes, therefore something needs to be done to adjust that. You would think these suits would be doing everything they could to make an improvement to save their business, right?
Well, okay, it's a multifaceted approach from what I see. Local stores need to do their thing. Distribution needs to do their thing.
Yep.
But companies need to do their thing, especially with creative teams, management, and professionalism. I know you have that code of conduct, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, which I was supportive of completely. You know, there should be a code of conduct on how you interact with customers, things like that, so you don't turn them off. You know, I mean, I don't know how many people I block by just because I follow some other dude. It makes no sense.
If we're gonna go about this this comic industry essentially as utilizing social media to be the main way that we advertise, promote, connect with readership, this whole conversation that exists with creators, well, this is my private, personal social media. All right, well, make it private then. You know, don't make it a public page where you interact with all kinds of people. You can absolutely have your own opinions about whatever if you want to do that and treat your social media in that way. But you put your own opinion out there, someone then is also going to put their own opinion out there. That is how this thing works. So if you're using that social media presence, though, to promote your brand, to promote sales and all that other stuff, be aware. There's, you know, it's kind of like the thing when you say something in a courtroom and they're like, well, remove it from the record. Yeah, it might be off the record, but the jury still heard it. Yeah, so it's still going to be it's still going to be tough for them to be like, man, but they said that thing, and that's really hard to keep out of my mind.
Right.
So that's the way they want to play it. Well, you know what? To keep that out of your mind when I say all these really bad things, enjoy my comic still and buy it. It's very difficult. It's difficult for people to do that. Imagine if they went into a store, if they went into a Best Buy or a Walmart or whatever it is, or the comic shop, let's say, and they were having a personal, private conversation very loudly in that store, the workers there. And it was a very, very crass conversation, talking about how much they hate all the customers that come in and all that other kind of stuff.
Yeah, you don't want to be around.
You'd be like, I don't really know if I want to shop in this store anymore. Yeah. Even though that is their private, personal opinion, it is also your private, personal opinion and your way of being to go, I don't want to shop here now. And that's fine. That's the way that works.
Stop listening to me. I'm in a public place. Yeah.
Hey, let me see if I can talk you into making a pledge, Peter Simeti. It'll just take me 30 seconds. Okay. We got an election cycle coming up. I don't know your politics. I have no idea. I suspect you're probably more liberal than me, but I have no idea what your politics are. In 2019, I would like that to stay the same. I would like not to learn about your politics this year and the people that you have derision for because of their political opinion. Is that possible? Is that something you could commit to in 2019?
But Evan, I already bought all the back covers of the Alterna books and put all my political beliefs on every single.
Oh man.
Wow. No, I just you know how bad the last 2 years have been. Yeah. We're getting ready to hit another election cycle. And as far as I can tell, a lot of these corporate comic creators just don't have the ability to self-regulate. I mean, it's one thing to say, like, I support more immigration or I support the legalization of marijuana. It is another thing to say, If you're going to vote for candidate
you,
XYZ, you are the worst person who ever lived. You are
I don't know. It's not to get into, I hate getting into politics, but not to get into politics. I don't know if there's anyone that anyone's ever elected where you completely agree and validate every single thing that they've ever stood for, represent their entire.
You're choosing between the lesser of two evils.
That's a level of, if you really feel that way about how you vote, I don't think you'd end up voting for anyone at all.
That's true.
But think how bad the last 2 years have been, and understand we're going into an election cycle. And a lot of these, I mean, dozens and dozens and dozens of people working at Marvel and DC just have this pattern of it.
That's fine. They can do that.
Condemning people. It's going to be horrible. And I'm like, all right, so
I invite everybody then, if they're tired of that kind of
Charles TV, buy an Alterna book.
Buy an Alterna book, go to my page on social media, and let's just have a nice normal conversation.
Yeah. You only get to vote once every 2 years at most, right? But most of us are pretty geeky, or else we wouldn't be sitting here on YouTube talking comic books on a Sunday afternoon. So most of us are going to read a comic book or think about a comic book every day. So we have this chance every day of the year, all year long, to share something in common, but we choose to like belittle each other, bump heads, and call each other all these horrible names over something we only get to do once every 2 years. And once it's done, 99.95% of us have no influence. Like all these people who are calling each other horrible names on Twitter, they never write any letters to their congressman or go out and lobby for stuff. It's all nonsense.
It's very much nonsense.
Yep.
It's sad, that's the way it is. And it's sad when people get so caught up in it that they lose the bigger picture of life. And then, life is fleeting. Life is ridiculously fleeting. I've lost tons of people in my life that I thought I was going to have the rest of my life with these people, and they're gone. And that's it. And you don't know. You don't know how long we have. And, like hell, I'm going to spend it talking about that stuff and castigating people all day long. It goes past a business decision. It's a life decision for me anyway. And I know some people, you could say and do what you want to do, but it turns into, are you happy doing that? Does this make you like a happy, fulfilled person to just constantly be at war with people and just you can have a fun, nice time in the time that we do have, and that's just a better way to be, just a healthier way to be. But it's unfortunate. That's just the way the world is, though.
It is. And if you want to enjoy your comics without any of the Orange Man bad, to quote Tank Ferret, you can always come over to Fanspeak, because we don't do that there.
Well, I think anybody who is on with us right now, it feels the same way,
Yeah.
So anybody here, myself, Peter, Edwin, we're all the same. So. But I think it's getting to the point, because you only said you had an hour.
Yeah, I gotta go.
I know. Yeah, we're way over an hour. So any last questions for Peter that are in the chat? Anybody? We'll give you 1 minute to put them in. Otherwise,
Thundero says, Chester, did you ask him about our ad? I did.
You did. Yeah. No, Booster, you're not coming on.
Oh, no. What was the #1 Alterna comic for 2018?
Oh yeah,
which comic had the single largest distribution?
The #1 for 2018, I believe that was. Let's see, I don't want to confuse it with the 2017 numbers. It came out on a Wednesday, #1.
Oh,
and that was about, with newsstand and direct, it was about 5,200.
Nice, nice, dude. That's really good.
Well, let's see if we can beat that this year.
I hope so.
Uncanny Kodiak would like to know, where can I get that hat?
Yep.
Everybody can go to orderalterna.com. We've got everything on there. The beanies are on there. The hats are on there. We've got t-shirts on there.
I'm not a red guy. Can I get it in blue?
It comes in. It comes in every color you want, as long as that color is red. And,
you gotta get one of these.
Nice.
Yeah. And then Edwin's got the mug.
Yeah.
But it's all like everything's around like $10 to $15 or so. Yeah, so everything is on there. We've got the comics on there, the merchandise on there, all that stuff. So if you missed a bunch of issues, your comic shop doesn't have them, most likely we have them, and you could pick them up there. And again, it's all pretty cheap, $5 flat shipping for anybody's in the US. So you can order 50 issues. It's still just going to be $5 to ship.
All right. Well, if that's the case, I think we're gonna wrap it up here real quick. Edwin, where can people get a hold of you if they want to talk to you?
Yeah, if you just look me up on Edwin Boyette. I'm on Twitter. I'm on YouTube. Usually, I'm either over with Mike Miller or Ethan Van Sciver, talking about all kinds of nonsense.
Cool. And Peter, where can people get a hold of you?
They can find me on Twitter at petersimeti or follow us at Alterna Comics.
Awesome. Chester?
So we got to end this, or we got to do some of the previews after, dude?
I think we're just going to end it because we went so long.
Yeah, no problem.
You have your own show too tonight too, so I don't want to. I don't want to run into that, but yeah.
All right. Well, as you many of you guys know, I am Chester C. Busby III, and you can find me over on Fanspeak, where we do a show every day at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We also have a lot of specialty shows like Bugbear's Basement, Fanspeak itself, as well as Bunny Vision Movie Night, which was really good. Last night we watched Spaceballs. It was awesome. So you guys come over and check us out, and we're always happy to have you, and love all our fans and all our supporters. Awesome.
Cool. My name is Pencil for Life. Well, it is Pencil for Life. I go. My name is Brad. God, I can't speak right now. Thanks to everybody who has come out and been in the chat. We've had almost 40 viewers the whole time steady, which is awesome for my channel. Usually I don't get a ton. Thanks to Peter for coming out. It turned into the Peter Simeti show.
Thank you, and sorry.
I'm cool with that. No, it's great. Honestly, because
awesome.
A lot of the guys who follow me are all creators, like I said earlier, and we want to know this. So before I leave, though, if you are with another small press company, if you want your stuff to get seen, talk about, things like that, hit me up. I want to have you on the show like Peter here, talk about your books coming out, things like that. I do run a local comic shop here in Utah, so I have some insights on that side. But thanks for coming, guys. God bless and have a great day, okay? See ya.
Aloha.
Later, guys.
Bye.